Hey guys, my name's Keith. I'm just a guy from Whitby, Ontario, and wanted to try something new, try something fun. I've been basically looking into these things for last month and a half. Anyway, decided I got myself one of these. Here we go, sign on the dotted line. Sprinter time, baby. Yep, just bought a Sprinter van. Woo-hoo! But can't drive it because I'm also a photographer and I've got a headshot session tonight that I have to go to. So I will be going to a headshot session, doing that, and then coming back, picking up the boy, and going down and picking her up. Pretty exciting. All right, so this is our van, and this is my helper sedan. And so for tonight, we just got the things, so we're going to start stripping it down. We're going to take up the floors. That'll probably be a little bit later on, maybe tomorrow, because it's pretty dark and late. But for tonight, we're going to focus on this guy right here. All right, this is Liam, and so one thing we've noticed, a couple of things that we've done already is we've taken the partition wall out, and then we've taken up the subfloor, or the flooring that was on there as well. I highly recommend that to anybody that has that's getting a used vehicle. Although it may look clean and everything like that, you never know what's underneath. And so what we're finding is a lot of just little bits of surface rust. It's not bad, but we're finding a lot of little bits of surface rust and then little pockets of where some moisture was held up. So we're just taking care of that now. We're scraping it all down with a wire brush. We're going to use a wire wheel as well. I'm not sure about tonight because it's pretty late at night, so we're just trying to do this quietly because we got neighbors. So we're going to be scraping it up, cleaning up all the rust. Then we're going to be putting down some primer and some white rust paint. So yeah, got a lot of work ahead of us, but good fun. Can't see it, but there's a whole bunch of cool steam coming off because it's about -5 out here right now. Frosty. Frost. But what's this? No frost. Why is that? Because we have had the heater going on all night. Let's see how this has turned out. So we did a bunch of little scrape downs of all the rust, and like I said in my previous statement, there wasn't a lot of rust, but I just wanted to get something over top of it. So we put some primer on a bunch of spots, and actually looks like it's dried up quite nicely. Let's see down here. Yeah. Looking good. It's actually dried up nice. So I gotta move all this stuff here, and then I'll just do the same. Basically, where any of the paint was chipped off there, we've just gone over it with a wire brush, and then just used primer and just painted it. And I'm just planning on using just like a regular rust paint. This is just one that I found in the garage, so I'm gonna just test her out with this one here, but Anyway, we've had the micro furnace going on in here all night, and I think it's done a great job. It's kept it warm enough for everything to cure, which I'm actually quite surprised, because I wouldn't have thought I would have done that. I would have thought this would be super tacky this morning, but it is not. So, next steps is we've got to put a floor in, so we've got to finish painting all down here, just get everything sealed up. I'm going to go through kind of with a fine-tooth comb if there's any areas that I feel need some more caulking. I'll just caulk up all the seams and just make sure that that's all done. What I've also noticed as well is that this seems to be kind of waxy. So I think it's waxy like that so that if any water comes in, and you can see there's water trails. These are the plastic rivets for the outside where they have the plastic trim all along in there. Still the same thing. So my kids were starting to scrape it out, and so I've advised them not to. So I'm going to investigate to see what else I can put in there, just because there will be some condensation in there, and I'm sure there's got to be some kind of weeping system so that if any condensation does run down there, it just doesn't pool and rust. It's got to leak out somehow. So I'm going to try and find out how that leaks out and make sure that I'm not stopping it from leaking out, because if any water does get in there, I want it to go away. Water's bad. Alright, so here's what we got for progress on the band so far. I've gone and fed insulation through each of these by using a string, pulling the string through, and then feeding the insulation through, tying the string to the insulation, poking it in one hole, pulling out this hole while I push it in this way. It worked pretty well. I was pretty impressed with how much I got in there. A lot more than what I figured. Got it down in here. Got all these cavities filled up here. Filled up the post as much as possible. You'd think it'd be not as easy as just pushing down in here. It's not. This actually comes along like this and then joins up into this column and then follows back down. So end up having to stuff insulation through small holes and basically wherever I can find things. Then I started putting some Ruxol. Now Ruxol, this is the Safe and Sound insulation. The reason why I went with Safe and Sound is it's a bit cheaper because it doesn't have to have an R rating. It still is insulation, but it doesn't have to go through the testing, so it's a couple of bucks cheaper, not too much. But another reason why I went with Ruxol is because it won't absorb water, and the water sheds off of it. So if by chance it does get moist back here or in the wall cavities, it's still somewhat breathable. The water's not just going to sit there and mold. That's the idea anyway. Hopefully the water, if any condensation is in the walls, it will run out of the weepers. So down here we had these plastic plugs, which actually I'll show you on the other side, where I haven't got it done yet. These plastic plugs there. Now that's from the exterior trim molding, and just kind of being on a couple of different Facebook sites and websites and things like that, the consensus is to seal those up. So I'm using caulking that I have. I actually really like this stuff. It's Mulco Supra Extra. It's really it sticks to anything, and for window applications it's fantastic. So I'm just kind of using up things that I had left from window jobs and sealing up the plastic rivets or whatever they're called. Yeah, that's pretty much it. For the sides, I'm just using this gray material. It's kind of like an ice and water shield, and that's a bit of sound dampener. Really, I'm not too concerned about the sound, because I'm going to have insulation back in there. The amount of sound there's not going to be that much sound. I don't think so anyway. I was pretty impressed by how quiet the van was without anything in it, just bare bones empty van. So I'm really not concerned about the rattling. So tonight I'm going to work on a little bit more Ruxel insulation. I'm contemplating whether or not I'm going to leave this wiring here and just insulate it behind, then panel up to it on either sides and maybe build like a little mini accessible bulkhead in case I want to run wiring at a later date back and forth. If I just did a small bulkhead like this big with some screws and concealed it with some shelves after the fact. It's kind of what I have in my head, just for running extra wires. I want to build this van so that I'm able to rebuild it without having to do mass destruction to the walls, because I don't know exactly what my needs are going to be as of yet. I just want to leave my options open, and I'm kind of doing this as I can afford it as well. So I want to kind of get the base all done, get the insulated, get some power options in here, and then, you know, in the next couple of years I'll probably go with solar. You know, who knows where life's going to take me. So anyway, that's the update so far, and gotta get this area cleaned up and start insulating. So Sunday fun day. Rainy, snowy, just a sloppy mess. What better day to get a couple hours in on the van? Speaking of a mess, so I left at about 2 o'clock in the morning one morning. Anyway, basically what I'm doing right now is I've got some Ruxol all along the bottom, using poly tarp that you'd use in house. Tarping that into place. I'm going to be putting some ribbing along that today, just so this doesn't bounce around and fall out. Yeah, maybe I might be running some wires up there. I'm not entirely sure yet, or I might just insulate this side and use this as my main bulkhead for wire running from the front to the back, and just have this as my access point for all wiring. Again, haven't really come up with the full decision yet, but to get some stuff done with the time I got. A couple hours before my daughter's got to go to figure skating, so get her done. Okay, so what I'm doing now is going to be putting insulation through these very small posts. So what I've done is I've fed, this is like weed whacker plastic line. It didn't really go through the greatest, but it was something that was a little bit more rigid than the string, obviously. And so I'm going to attach the string to the end of here, just tape it on, and I'm going to pull through there so that the string then comes through that hole on this side. Then I'm going to tie the insulation to this string and then pull the string and the insulation back through the rib in an attempt to get some insulation up there. That's how I insulated most of these posts. They're kind of all hidden by the other insulation now, but it worked quite well. So it's like I was saying, that's a trick that I learned from Eamon and Beck, their channel, when they did their Sprinter build. So we'll see how this goes. All right, so I had a little bit of issues with that. as I was pulling through, it pulled good till about this point here, and then it broke free because, you know, there's not a lot of strength in this fiberglass insulation. But so then I fed it from this side, and it of course fell all the way through. Then I fed it back again. But anyway, I fed it back through this side, so from here out to about this point here, and then from this side I fed it back through this hole here. So I don't know, sounds pretty good to me. Looks pretty decent through the holes as well, so I guess time will only tell. Alright, so productive couple of days. Haven't been filming much because we've been doing the ceiling and it's been kind of messy. So anyway, so thus far is we've got all the insulation up on the ceiling. Also put some battens or some strapping there, one to hold up the insulation, but two to screw the ceiling to the finished product. Semi framed out where we're going to be putting the window. And again, so I'm just using this regular household insulation, sealing everything up with plastic, household plastic house wrap, tuck taping everything. We've also got our area marked out here, just a 14 by 14 hole for our fan. I've ordered in a Max Air fan. Reason being is I want to be able to open the fan if it's raining or not, despite the weather. So I know with the Fantastic fan you would need to get an additional shroud for that. I do have an additional shroud on my camper right now, and it stands about maybe 10 to 12 inches above the roof line. So I really don't want to go that high. I'm hoping that the Fantastic fan, or sorry, the Max Air isn't that tall. I don't think it will be based on what I've seen on the videos. Yeah, that's basically it. So next step is to put some flooring down. So before that, I've got to clean up the wonderful mess in here. Yeah, fun. Alright, another night working in the van. Tonight I'm going to use some caulking, some of the Mulco Super Extra, and I'm going to seal up the small holes where the floor was screwed into. Those ones there, so I'm going to seal those up, and then I'm going to start applying some of this reflective tape. I got enough of it. I got it from a friend of mine. Idea with the reflective tape is that it's waterproof, so I don't know, might as well put it down, might as well use it. In case there's any condensation underneath the floor, hits this tape, the reflective tape, and doesn't sit on the steel of the steel body. So hopefully it just keeps it from rusting. No other reason other than that. So sure, I guess there's a bit of a reflective surface, so it may reflect the heat back in, maybe, but I'm not really using it for that. So if it happens, great, and if it doesn't, don't care. all taped up. So next step is either just putting some styrofoam down, some of the really dense 1-inch styrofoam. It's about an R5.6. Either that, or I'm going to put a bit of wood blocking down, just so I have something to attach the floor to. So attach the wood blocking to the floor or to the existing steel, the van. Sorry, really tired. And then put some 1x1 or 2x2 down or something like that. Just rip it down to 1-inch to match the styrofoam. Again, we'll have to see how that goes. I kind of don't want to put anything down there. I just want to put straight styrofoam. But if it's not strong enough, if it feels like the floor is going to be a little bit too squishy, then I may opt to put some straps down on the floor as well. So time will tell.